Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2, a highlight match from the Brawlers Club. Two sides of the world, brawling it out on Data C. Protoss versus Zerg. Let me introduce the DreamHack champion, the final boss, the Zerg in the top right. It is Dark. He makes do with so much less, and he turns it into so much more. It's actually a little disgusting. A lot of people criticize Terrans and Protoss for being incredibly defensive players, but he's kind of perfected the art as a Zerg. Now, to contend with it, a unique Protoss player from the region who's had a history of them. North America. It's the American Protoss Astrea. He's actually embraced that mass spellcaster style. A lot of the time in the past, NA players have been known for being a little bit less, how do you say, micro-oriented. But embracing the high-risk, high-reward style of Protoss that players like Hero in the past, and Zest as well, SOS, Astrea is right up there with the best of them. And right now, he's right at the heels of Neeb, especially with Neeb announcing that he's essentially semi-retired. He's going back to school, which is quite a move after such a successful career. And he's still playing. It's just maybe not as actively participating in tournaments. Jimmy, I need to see the health bars. What do you want me to guess? All right? I mean, I know the numbers on the screen, but... Probe, looking to block. I had Zerg versus Protoss, a matchup that has become a lot more dynamic since Hero revitalized it, and I think he gets the vast majority of the credit after the legacy and the void that Zest left with his military service. That did create a little bit of room. What is that? Why is there a Zealot? Oh my god. Who does that? Okay, so there's a Zealot coming across. Two Zealots, actually, to start. The Zerglings slip in. I was too busy. I was excited to be having these two players facing off. I was trying to find a clever way to segue into saying like and subscribe, but instead, we're off to a pretty dynamic start. Brenda! What, Karen? I'm going. I'm going, okay? We have 6 legs, they have 2, yet somehow they are faster. This makes no sense. That's not how math works. Anyways, the Zerglings did make it into the main. Bit of an awkward wall at the natural for Astrea. He didn't choose to do the 3-building wall, but instead added a pylon. A probe sacrificed. I'm not sure if that was intentional or mistake. I'm gonna lean towards the second one. Ooh. Slick move on the adept. Anyways, I was pointing out how dynamic ZVP is, and it almost slipped away from me right in front of my eyes. Despite all this, though, still looking towards a third base in around 4 minutes. Not too much slower than your average. Even with all this early aggression, it appears Astrea just made enough Zerglings to put, enough Zealots to put some pressure on early. Possibly anticipating something out of Dark. And he did bait out a lot of Zerglings from Dark. But the downside here is now Dark has a bunch of Zerglings. So making it a little more difficult to take that base. But Dark realizing that, yeah, this is probably the end of it. As the third base is clearly being taken. The Stargate units being added in relatively early on here. And it's shaping up a little bit closer to the new standard. Still a bit of an awkward wall, but wait, was the Twilight scouted? That's actually a pretty big scout for the Zerglings there. Seeing the Twilight timing really gives away what Astrea is looking towards. Now, the Twilight itself is pretty ambiguous, but nowadays, 90% of the time that means blink, followed by charge, to be able to shut down any big roach pushes, which are the only threat to the expansions. Oracles can take care of the rest. And then, of course, having Blink Stalkers in the hands of a capable player, much like a lightsaber or something, which the best of the best are able to use them. It almost looks like they have special powers, whereas everyone else just as likely to end up hurting themselves in the long run. It is going to be blank and +1. The Oracle's burning through drones at the natural, gets 4. Looking for a few more. Some slick Oracle micro as he goes back into the beautiful undercurrents of Data C. Not bothering with anything in the main. I take it back. Gets one more. Really good Oracle micro here. I mean, I'm saying it like I'm surprised, but Astrea has become one of the best micro Protoss out there in the span of, I guess in StarCraft 2, anything under like 5 years is a pretty short amount of time, but in the last couple of years, he's been moving up. In general, North America has not fielded a whole lot of world caliber players in the past, but it's always exciting. I think you guys, and statistically, according to YouTube, most of you, or at least the highest percentage of you, are my fellow Americans. So, someone else to root for here. I'm rooting for him. Dark is kind of a villain. I mean, he's not like Rogue, who just literally seemed to not care. Dark is... he's a bit more of a Joker than like a cookie-cutter villain. Like someone... he's got some depth. You can understand his motives, if not his methods. He's someone that, if you want to hate him, well, you can. And if you want to love him, well, people might question you a little bit. Let's not try to draw too many parallels, but, well, Dark. Astrea trying to poke in. Dark with a whole bunch of Ravagers here to deal with this early Stalker Sentry push. The Ravager count is too damn high, chasing it down. And, well, Astrea standing his ground. You don't want to beat a full retreat here, as the Ravagers can chase you down. You want to try to bait out the corrosive biles while minimizing losses, and so far losing 1 Stalker is about as minimal as it gets. In fact, a Ravager force field. And, oh god, he's doing it again. He's got Oracles, Warp Prisms, Sentries. He's adding Disruptors into the mix here. Astrea bringing all the pieces together. A lot of moving parts that require a lot of different types of... and, oh, you know what? We didn't have enough Phoenixes. What does this give? So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Stalkers, Sentries, Oracles, Phoenixes, and Disruptors. 5 units that require relatively active spellcasting. Technically, the Warp Prism and technically the Void Ray are spellcasters of a sort as well. And very technically, the Charge Lot has an ability, which we've been seeing used micro lately. But while almost nothing has really gone down on the field, the production tab and the few skirmishes have really told the story. Sprinting up towards Fleet Beacon, it does look like we might end up at Carriers. Astrea is at least anticipating Mutas at this stage. The Muta switch can always be dangerous. Having Phoenixes is never a bad call as a spot defense against things like Vipers, which are in production now, as well as Lurkers is the secondary option. Those Lurkers, when you pick them up, even if they cancel it or the Lurker or the Phoenix gets killed, it does unburrow them. So having the Phoenixes, assuming you can manage all the moving pieces, can be very helpful. In fact, Astrea, he's using his production here on his hotkeys. Well, he has a Phoenix key, a Warp Prism key, a Main Army key, a hold. Wow, I actually haven't seen this. Really, maybe I haven't been looking closely, but he's got his Zealot that's blocking this Disruptor on a hotkey. The Zealot who will hold. There's a lot of creep to contend with. Picking up some Ravagers. He doesn't know there are Lurkers under there right now, and neither does it matter. As there's... well, this is kind of awkward. Oh, actually, double kill on the Phoenixes. About to say just avoiding it shouldn't be too hard, but ends up... Well, here come the Vipers. None of them taking damage yet. Disruptors force field across the board. The Abduct, though, comes back. Blink Stalkers blink in. So much going down so fast from these two. Who got the better end of it? Astrea's supply is not looking too hot. Ooh. Yeah, Astrea, he was rotating through all those fancy spellcasters real quick. But Dark, he got to the meat of it. He pulled the Colossus, he killed several Phoenixes, he's knocked out an Oracle. And it didn't really cost him much of his valuable army supply. Blinding Cloud to stop the cannons, Lurkers to draw the army out of position, and then some. There's a Nidus in the main, but just a Distractic here out of Dark. Oh, Lurkers eviscerating anything that comes close. Another clutch of them. Oh no, there's Roaches on the left flank, but the Nidus. Dark is all over the place. Disruptor shot connects, but the Lurker slices it up in return. Carriers have arrived. Kind of obligatory against this entrenched Lurker army. The ground army just... There's almost no cost-effective way to engage. You need air superiority. Especially if your opponent has made 19 Lurkers. That is altogether too many Lurkers. I mean, I don't know if it's too many for Dark. It does leave them with limited anti-air. But it might be too many for Astrea. That is a lot of Lurkers. Wow. He's settling in. This might be another one of those tutorial games. Occasionally, these top-tier Zerg players will show us how to beat the Skytoss. A titanic endeavor. One that requires patience, but also decisive violence. It isn't a passive way to play. It's a very proactive one. Dark has already set up his spore lines to some extent or another near the center of the map. Not consolidating defenses on any particular base. Astrea will now see what Dark is doing for sure here. The Zealots looking for an opportunity. Not finding it. Well, they don't know they're not finding it yet, but the Zealots, they run in. Lurkers, shut them down. 3 Lurkers is enough. The Carriers, Void Ray charges up. Guardian Shield used. Double volley. Oh, the Vipers vulnerable here. Blink Stalkers pulls in 2 Carriers. Is that enough? Yanks them again. Disruptors off the mark. Get over here. He just pulls them 3 times. How do you even have energy for that? I guess barely. Gets 1 Carrier for the cost of all his energy. Sucks up a little bit more, though. Gets another one. Dark making it look easy right now. There's no High Templar for feedback. The Phoenixes are long gone. Disruptors sliced and diced before they can unleash that Purification Nova. Sprays out another volley. Gets some more Lurkers. But I can't help but feel Astrea is not making any progress here. For every Lurker he gets, for every Queen he cowardly kills, for every Spine and Spore Crawler he removes, it's costing him even more. Not really reflected, I guess, in the units lost. Really thought it would be worse than that for Astrea. He's down 1,000 minerals, but that is not a particular despair. That's a mineral patch right there. Even under some of them. About a mineral patch on average. Oracle, full energy, no energy. Disruptor, Carrier, High Templar, Void Ray. Nidus on the way. Dark, his SPM is raising 19 spores right now, adding some more. Another Ruptor down Astrea, just losing too many spellcasters for nearly free here. Looks like Dark just slaps another Nidus. I don't know how many Nidus worms he has out there. They're all connected to the same network. All new worms get connected as well. It's very user-friendly in that. Not too much customizability in the network, though. Oh, those Templar are getting a little bit too close to the Lurkers. Oh, and loses 2 near... oh, not another one. It's just so many moving pieces here. It is... Astrea's just got to regroup. He's got to get back in the groove. because he's flailing. Every Protoss knows this feeling. You have too many things going on. You got to focus on what you really need. Because if you try to have everything, you'll end up with next to nothing. Disruptors will chase the tails of the Hydras, but the Hydras have already turned them. One storm finally lands without the Lurkers to zone out the Templar. Things get a little more difficult, but the Vipers almost got away with a free kidnapping, and the Hydras, an accessory to the murder. Dark is just dismantling Astrea right now, but Astrea keeps putting the pieces back together, and he's doing it. Wow, exactly the same amount of gas lost. But Astrea has lost 4,000 more minerals. It's starting to add up. The Nidus is like a campaign mission, scattered throughout right now. Ultralisk Cavern, in case things weren't exciting enough. Plus 2 air weapons and carapace. I'm sorry, flyer weapons and carapace. Air is for Protoss. Flying is for Zerg. A Lurker can't hold the Watchtower, but it can deny the Stalkers from doing so as well. Oh, yanks a carrier. Good volley. Hits it again. Dark has several hotkeys of Lurkers and Viper Corruptor, another set of Lurkers. Like, he's got... Wow, how many Lurkers? 21 Lurkers on the field. He's gonna be... Well, he's got quite a power Zerg army right now. It is vulnerable to a lot of different things. His army is becoming a bit unwell. Oh, the Banelings, but beautiful storms deny the Banelings. Ah, this is becoming a very cinematic game. Disruptor yanked out. Purification Nova disconnected. Archon angrily brought in. Sliced down before it can get away. Some feedbacks, not enough. Carriers moving in. Abducts are good. He's abducting him like 12 feet here. About 3 meters. 4 meters. Either way, not enough meters because doesn't really matter as there's not nearly enough corruptors. The Lurkers will retreat. They didn't get the base. That ended up being quite a costly fight for Dark. He finally bit off significantly more than he could chew with the carriers. It's gonna have to replenish. In fact, though, it kind of feels like a tactical loss there, as he lost a few Lurkers and some of the ground, but he's replacing it with a overwhelming amount of corruptors. So, oh, beautiful split-ish, because either way it wasn't going to end well. Oh, the Observer was targeted down by the Spore Crawlers. +2 flyer and carapace done. Dark with money in the bank here, though, isn't quite maxed. Chitinous plating. Wait, how long? Those Phoenixes? Are those from earlier? They have kills. They've just been sitting in the corner. He dunks the Lurkers onto the cannons. What? Okay, the shield battery overcharge is doing a great job. Is it great enough? Not quite. But the carriers are fighting straight up. The Corruptors are able to dodge out. The Templar and the Archons aren't really in position to deal with this. The Corruptors have to back off as soon as either flavor of Templar gives them a strong look. We have... Oh, wait, that is Astrea Zealot. It's not a Changeling. A base isolated and killed. Astrea still struggling to deal with just the 3 Lurkers back here. The Zealots came up to try to defend, but they couldn't see what they were fighting at. Started stamping their feet on the ground, but it wasn't quite enough. Feedback 1, 2, and 3. Gets them all. Storm almost kills the Vipers after adding the insult to the injury. You don't even have an auto attack. Look at my water balloons. The emotional damage almost enough on top of the energy drained. Remember when feedback did 1 damage per 1 energy? The good old days. Right, ghosts. Ultra. Oh, God. The Zealots come in, all hyped up to go. They see the Ultras and decide, you know what? Maybe not today. Not today. My life for ire, but not quite like this. Astrea is fortifying his defenses. And Dark is... Well, he's gone with the Ultra Army. Which, this is the most substantial way... Essentially, the Ultras are the meatiest way to stop the Templar. The Ultras need to close the distance on the ground army, ideally with banelings as well, to kill the Templar so the Storms can't hit the Corruptors, so the Corruptors can hit the Carriers. The Archon's doing a lot of damage with the Ultralisk underneath. This is about a best-case scenario for Dark. He gets a Parasitic Bomb on the Carriers. He knocks out several. Most of the Corruptors get out intact. And Astrea ends up losing... He's lost 15 Carriers so far, which is... You know, it's starting to add... Oh my god, Dark took to the space. What is absolute... He just... It's like a bamboo shoot, alright? I mean, they say if you look closely, you can watch it growing, but it's so slow, you're still trying to make sure. Then you turn back, and there's a hatchery at your 6 o'clock, and that... Well, that's tough to deal with. Phoenix is coming in, cosplaying an Oracle here. Corruptor's looking for an opportunity. Oh, beautiful storm. Archons coming up. Being pushed into their own storms. Have a taste. Oh, there are rocks here. Oh, he's using the rocks to trigger the interceptors in order to be able to launch more of the Golden Fleet storms. But you're gonna need a bigger storm. Oh, the Zealots to guard the Immortal to blast through, doing incredibly cost-effective damage. Another Immortal. The Ultras suddenly, Psy is no longer making up for their ineptitude. And by ineptitude, I mean, I guess, ability to use ranged attacks against the Immortals. Oh my, just blasting them apart. Let me see a great animation on this one. Come on. Oh! What I did? What a twist. Observer on the way. No, this is the most important thing happening right now. I don't... Just dunks his head. Observer momentarily. Meanwhile, the Carrier's getting chased. The storm only hits Carriers. Okay, can we... A Zergling counterattack. Come on, let me see the Ultra! And more Ultras coming in. Dark does not letting Astrea have it. Oh, it's back! Oh, it's joined by its buddy, a lurker. All right. Oh my. Well, that. Oh wow. Okay. Well, there aren't too many hard counters in this game, but those Ultras running directly into them. You need the Zerglings or something to keep the Immortals distracted. They're attracted to movement. Oh, Revelation. Oracle getting chased into Astrea's main, which is actually relatively lightly defended. Banelings crashing through. Just a full map game. The army's on the wrong side of each other right now. I guess it depends on who you ask, because Astrea's pretty happy. This base is done. He's mining from the rich Vespine. Of course, Dark's doing the same on the other side. The Zerglings somehow got through. I guess the Banelings crashed through, but the overcharge holds the line for now. 10 probes down. Deathball on the way. Viper's out of position and not able to get that energy back. Astrea is going for the heart of the swarm. Broodlords in production. Archon bullying queens here. 6 Broodlords to help deal with this ground army. The Zerglings are chewing through the lightly defended outer bases. Another queen is showing up. The Zerglings ripping through all the buildings. I mean, eventually, actually, there's no cannons at the natural. The Zealots are filing through. I've never seen this map cut in half quite like this. Usually we slice it in like, diagonally, but it looks like we're actually slicing it in half. Like Winter, those are both technically, you know what, just like a book. Like, you know what I meant. What a base trade. Wait, is this a base trade? Wait. Dark is just giving up his whole main. He's getting a base or two in return. He killed the 6 o'clock, which had no resources at all. It's just gone. It's just gone. This base, those adrenalings here, ripping up the Nexus. And where does this lead? Dark? Like, Dark just didn't... He just left. He just didn't care. He's not even doing, like, a huge counter. He gets a couple carriers, which are recalled to the top left corner that join up with the rest of the army. Some burrowed lings over here. What gets me is how Dark, like... He's like, yeah, well, whatever. It's a not too big a cost to rebuild the whole tech tree. Why would I take a bad fight? To which, I guess the answer is I don't know. That's... What? This is why Dark is so slippery to play against. He just kind of casually lopped off. He let Astrea chop off his arm. He's like, I'll grow another one, bro. I got it. Don't worry about it. Like, we're not friends. We're fighting. Yeah. Have fun. Like, good luck. Oh, that's for me to worry about. Those hatchery rally points are getting annoying. Where? I'm okay. Let's take restock of this situation. Astrea still has a full Skytoss death ball. He's got right now 7 carriers, 10 Templar, couple oracles, plenty of immortals, 7 against 8 broodlords, 30 corruptors, a single lurker. And notably, Dark he's rebuilt. He hasn't rebuilt the Hydra or Lurker Den, though. I would be surprised to see at this point. He's just now getting his hive back. The Zerglings forcing cancels on the north side of the map. Astrea is notably light on minerals, which means rebuilding those interceptors is a real expense. Carriers are a rich man's unit, and this is becoming a poor man's game. For now... Well, Dark just keeps throwing a fishing line out there and grabbing a carrier with each one. Somehow Astrea not quite able to get the revelations he needs. I think Astrea is kind of confused. Like, he's like, well, what do I do? I killed most of his bases. There's no gas here. Dark is mined out of gas on all but 3 bases. 19 more banelings on the way. This is most of the ground army. The broodlords might be able to deal with it on their own. Astrea's trying to sandwich maneuver here. Whoa! The banelings! Dark with some tower defense banelings over here. Meanwhile, the carrier army, another carrier, another one! He gets all 3! The banelings are distracting Astrea! Immortals are quite a counter. More coming in. Dark! Oh my god, he's so good. Like, Astrea is no pushover at all. This is really not showing how good Astrea is with controlling these armies. Because Dark is just... It's like punching a... I don't know, it's like punching air. Literally, you throw a punch and you just end up throwing your arm out. Because whenever Astrea goes for an attack, Dark just lets him. He's like, alright, go ahead. And then Astrea's like, aren't you gonna fight me? He's like, maybe later. He's so confident. Astrea is struggling to... He's not... the shield battery overcharged way too late and invalidated by the shield battery, dying. Tempest on the way as Astrea starts to realize he can't afford the upkeep of carriers. Either he loses the carriers and has to replace them with other units, which cost minerals, or he loses the interceptors, which also cost minerals. This Immortal Templar Expeditionary Force here, one of the most intimidating looking, like... if the Broodlords were here, they could crush this. But the Broodlords are on the south side of the map. Oh my god, Infestor's flexing on the Templar. The Templar could have feedbacked all 3 of them to death. To death. They had... Oh my, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter anymore. Corruptors knocking out Tempest and Carry. The fleet's gone. It's just gone. But the Corruptors are badly bruised. The Cybernetics Core is becoming a more and more valuable target. As Stalkers, this might be one of those games where the air armies become irrelevant because the ground armies are the most important. There's 5 more brutes. Dark was supply blocked. I guess he's lost... How many Overseers has he lost? He's lost 15. He's lost 46 20k. He's mined... No, this is super key. He has mined 7,000 more gas and nearly 10,000 more minerals. He's just sucking the minerals and gas out of these bases so efficiently. Much like his Vipers sucking the HP into their energy bar. His Vipers have gotten so much value. He's lost 11 of them. But overall, I think they've been by far the... What? Where is this Phoenix still alive? Remnant, it's from an earlier time, alright? He doesn't know this is considered rude. And he has range, by the way. Astrea just preemptively got range a long time ago. Well, this is kind of a more typical push, but in such a... This is such a weird time, and it's been such a long road getting here. But Dark has decided the time for vengeance has arrived. As he's creeped, he's literally worked his way from the top right corner of the map all the way to the bottom right. He left a few Broodlords at home to guard the house. What he has left of it, there's only a single Archon. Recalls back. By the way, yep, the Phoenix still chasing the B plot of all this. Well, really, the C plot is there's 2 battles happening simultaneously. The Corruptors. Dark. Just, he looks outside the front door and Dark lops his head off right now. Oh my god. This is such a dismantling. It's such a... It's almost uncomfortable to look at. It's beautiful, but I'm not even sure. Yeah, sure, Astrea could have taken a few fights better, so it seems. But Dark is also doing so many other things. Like, he's got Zerglings. I think a key part was also Banelings rolling in second before he took the first big fight against the Carriers not long ago. The Banelings rolling in 2 different angles, and then Dark lining up the third and most important attack behind it. The timing, way more important than whether the Banelings actually do anything, because you have to respect them. It looks like Astrea is kind of heading for a full-on base trade. Like a, I'm going to kill all your buildings base trade, which Zerg players cannot recall. I know this is pretty obvious, but Broodlords take a long time to get anywhere. The Zerglings are on the way from Dark. He has a massive army supply, but a bunch of it is in Corruptors. There are 18 Broodlords. Astrea has enough money for Stalkers that could... Whoa, okay. Okay. Yeah, we're actually getting down to it. The Queens come back! They're back again. There's that single last lurker. I don't think there's any detection between the Queens and the lurker. Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. We've come so far and tried so hard. But Astrea is out of options. Dark gives up everything. Almost everything. His drones are fighting the last battle. At least if they were needed, which it seems like the Queens will be enough. The Broodlords. What an insane... And I know that clickbait word is used often, but an absolutely mind-bending match. I cannot stress how... I don't know how... I wish you could distill whatever Dark's doing there into like a energy shot and then just inject it or something. I don't know. But at the end of the day, Dark just, despite losing his entire main and like 4 bases, he wins. Because Astrea never found a hard target. And he found himself a softer one. Wow. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It was a fun match. If you think so too, like, subscribe, check out the second channel as well for more StarCraft and not StarCraft. I know, blasphemy. Check out this video as well. I hope you enjoyed this one. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.